welcome to another exciting episode of Live from the Pool House. We are live from said pool house. I am, of course, one of your hosts, T.L. Foster, and I am joined by my co-host.
Hoi hoi, Sonya here.
And today we are joined by one of my favorite people on the internet. I will let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Rihanna Manuel, and I am Rihanna Tweets Now on Twitter, and that's primarily where TL and I interact since we are stuck in our homes, and that's how we met in the first place.
Yeah. I met Rihanna. Yeah, we were doing the Giant Bomb.
The charity stream.
Yeah, and then we started following. She is a hilarious follow. Absolutely do that, and she does tremendous work. What's Good Games. But if you look anywhere where there's a podcast talking about gaming, you will find her. She does a tremendous job, and I'm very excited to have her on this episode.
Thanks. I'm excited about this one.
So, Rihanna, what is your history with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yeah, so I'm never shy about my age. I was born in 87, so I grew up with Fresh Prince. It was a little bit older for me, but it was kind of like my guilty pleasure, like growing up. So I'd watch it and I'd feel like I was one of the older cool kids. Because my brother and sister are both more than 10 years older than me. So I would watch Fresh Prince and be like, oh, this is what their life is like. Like, they're so cool. They have high school friends. And it was definitely part of my formative years and influenced my dialect, my fashion, like pretty much everything.
Yeah. It's very weird. And so that's such a different context than even me and Sonya have had, or people we've had on, because you have siblings that are, that much older. For me, the show, because I think I'm a year older than you are. So the show it was also an older show, but I was looking at it from the lens of my parents, because my parents weren't too much older than Will and all of them. So it's very, like I said, I think it's very interesting. You're looking at it oh, hey, these were what my older brothers and sisters are like I want to emulate that. That's such a really cool kind of reading of it. I don't know. It's always weird to me when I hear people because now they have even that reboot coming, and it's just I'm like,
I've heard about this.
Yeah, and I was like, the guy did it, Matthew Cherry, actually a guy does a lot of our back end stuff, Alfred Confiato. They kind of run in the same circles and everything, and in looking at it, it's just it's weird to see how people kind of interpret stuff, right? The Fresh Prince and everything, but I do really think that's very awesome, and I'm very excited that he gets the opportunity, and I can't wait to see what that show comes on. But I always like it to see, especially people who are our age or even younger, how they interpret Fresh Prince, because even with us growing up, you said, this show was an older show, but for me, every time I see the show, I keep thinking it's 95, 96, 97, and it's no, this is 1990. It's a lot
91.
Yeah. Right. It's a lot older than you think, and it's I really don't have that much actual affinity for it, but I think I do, because I think it's a formative years thing, but it was actually in 1990 I was 3, I didn't,
yeah.
I actually really didn't know anything about this until it was much later, so I think that's always very weird.
Yeah, watching it in syndication and stuff too. It's just I think that's why I thought it was older too. Later, I mean.
Right.
And because I was about 6 when the show came out, maybe 91-ish. Yeah, 5 or 6. And I was talking about getting a honey wagon and a car that said cool chilling as a license plate or something because of the show. And we're listening to music OPP and not understanding what it actually meant.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point, Sonya, because I also saw this in syndication, so years and years after it first aired. But to me, I didn't really know what that meant. I couldn't distinguish it from everything else I saw on TGIF. So I was like, oh, Sister, Sister, and Fresh Prince. They're made at the same time, right? That's how a kid brain works. So you don't really put it together that it was filmed half a decade before, because it's just part of what you're getting introduced to that's new in the world. So
right.
it never really registered that I was watching it years and years after.
And one of the things I think is really kind of cool, especially like in going back and rewatch it now, none of the fashion, like you talk about like how it like defined looks, like none of that fashion,
unfortunately,
but none of it seems dated. Like that's the thing that's been really weird. If going back and watching the show in 1990, like a lot of Will's looks, I'm like, yeah, I would rock that. Like I would do that. Like it's so weird to see like how a lot of that fashion was, I guess you would say fashion forward, or just like kind of frozen in time where it doesn't
like what's the word? It's ageless.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was recently doing a workshop with a bunch of like 15-year-olds, and they were dressed like I wanted to dress when I was their age, like these cool ass like kids who shop at Delilah's, even though it doesn't exist anymore, or they're wearing like chokers and the peace sign necklaces and stuff. I'm like, man, you guys look like the Spice Girls. And so I guess it's like making a like it's coming around again, this fashion.
Yeah, that cyclical nature of fashion. It seems like it's happening faster and faster. Like we're already revisiting the 90s, and we're like, wait a minute, I was just there. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, we say that, but it's like that's 30 years ago now. Like it's like we're just old.
It doesn't feel like it, but you're right.
It doesn't. But yeah, it's just like I said, it's a wild thing. But yeah, let's get into this episode, because I think this is for the first time in a long time, I think this is a really good just like episode. But this is the first one since the Christmas break. So, Sonya, if you will, let's talk about this episode.
So, we are watching Season 1, Episode 16, Lucky Charm, which first aired January 7th, 1991. And as Teal said, it is the first episode back from Christmas. It was directed by Jeff Melman and was written by Samm-Art Williams, who wrote earlier episodes. And this episode, you might want to change those pants. So, Will is roped into caddying for Phil's business associate, Jameson, because it's $50 a day plus, or $50 for the whole day plus tips. I can't remember exactly.
I think that's right.
And so, Jameson is a superstitious man, and we see how extreme he is when Uncle Phil tells Vivian not to wear red because it's Jameson's bad luck color. And I'm like, I love how Vivian is not putting up with any of Jameson's stuff this episode. Like, it was really fun to see her. Because, like, in any other sitcom, the husband would reprimand the wife for being so needlessly, not cruel, but, like, not actually caring about, like, how important this guy is to Uncle Phil's business. She's just like, he's an idiot. I'm not putting up with it.
Yeah, I love that line where she's like, well, he better get a new unlucky color, because this is my favorite shirt.
Well, and
it's so good.
Yeah, and red is like it's weird for me because like in Cree culture, red is a good color, and so it's like a positive color. Like even black is a good color in our culture, and like it's just so weird to consider people have bad luck colors. Like there are like colors that tend to have negative effects on people. Like you're not supposed to paint a baby's room yellow because it causes crying. And so it's like, it's always weird to see like people who consider colors bad. I'm like, why is red a bad luck color? Did he have a team that was red that he hated or something? I don't know.
Yeah, he never really went into the details on that. And he also never said anything when he met Vivian in the shirt.
Just like, he's crossing himself or pouring water all over her or something.
Yeah, it's like...
He had a bigger reaction to Carlton being a Leo, or to so-and-so being a Leo.
Yeah.
Well, it's big, like, it was Carlton being a Leo, which, like, well, by the time this episode is out, Leo season, like, it's Leo season now.
Yep, Leo season.
By the time the episode's out, it will not be. But no, it's so weird, like, because this is, like, full on the whole spiritual mysticism, like, in full effect. Like you said, he's bringing up astrological signs and, like, oh, you know, this is a lucky number and stuff like that. And that's always been, like, a weird barrier to me. Like the sign stuff, I've never really dug deep into, and I was going to ask you guys if you had any kind of like digging deep into, like, you know, is it astrology?
Astrology.
Yeah. Okay. See, that's how bad I am at all this. Like all I know is I am a Virgo. I don't know.
I'm
what
a Sagittarius. Yeah.
But it was always, like I said, like a lot of that culture, like, to me, there are stuff like I'm superstitious about, but I don't know if like I would take it like this far. Like if I go driving, I have to tap my steering wheel 10 2 10 2, and then I can go. But like it's like it's just like I guess like a tick. So I don't know like how do you guys kind of read into this stuff? Like do you practice this stuff? Like how do you guys read into it?
I read it for fun. Like sometimes my sister will be sitting at like a restaurant and they have like those free papers that have like just random stuff going on in the community and include your horoscope. And my sister will read her own, her boyfriend's, and mine. And mine is like I always like cracking jokes because it's like mine says like you are gonna have a meal right now, and I'm like, how did they know? And so I just like how vague they can be, like because they're fun for like certain things, but like in general I don't really give that much credence to them because recently me and my partner were checking how compatible we were, and like it wasn't really that compatible, and I was like, screw that.
Yeah, I have had my chart read many times, and I do follow astrology and different movements of the planets, and the little newspaper horoscopes are usually pretty terrible. Like universally they're vague because they're not really sure what's going on. But having my actual chart read, it's pretty damn accurate and has been very illuminating for me and helpful in my own healing and my own journeys, and I've actually use it in some of my therapy sessions. So it depends on what level you're going to. Obviously, a little magazine horoscope or like Cosmo Bedside Astrologer, take it with a grain of salt. But it's pseudoscience, I guess, but so is a lot of stuff until they prove it.
Yeah. It's like what was that line from Thor? Science is just magic that's been proven. So because I do have like as an indigenous person a lot of belief in spirituality. Like the big one in this episode was when Jameson gives Aunt Viv Wolfsbane to hang over her kitchen door. The equivalent to now would be him giving her sage to burn. I imagine Jameson would be one of those horrible people in California that's burning white sage and contributing to the harvesting of white sage. So like it's a thing right now, like where a lot of like quote unquote witches are like taking sage too much because it's a purifying element. And people burn it incorrectly and waste a lot of it, and so it really drives me nuts. But like I believe in the purifying and like positive traits of plants. So but I like with horoscopes, like I still like I have had like my palm read and like gone to like psychic readings and stuff, but if it doesn't fit with me in terms of like well, you can't marry this guy because blah blah blah, I'll be like, well, I think I'll trust myself for a while, and if the stars align properly, we'll deal with that when we get there.
No, I mean, like there's definitely, I don't know, like I said, when people say like, oh hey, here's what a Virgo does, I'm always like, well damn, like yeah, you kind of you've read me. I don't. But it's just a thing. It's very easy, especially like me being a guy, and a lot of males are very easy to throw that stuff off of like, oh, it's not analytical, right? But then, like I said, we'll turn around and I'll do that bullshit, or like people who like play sports. Like have very specific things like they'll go to like, oh, my lucky shoe, or like Wilson, like his lucky drawers, right? Like, so there's always something in there. I do think to throw off anything like that is spiritual, or that is just like something that you can't believe or you can't obtain, that comes in naturally. I do think like throwing that off is kind of just being, what's a good way of saying it? Kind of just being like just blowing it off. I'm trying to think of a good way of saying it. Just like haphazardly just throwing it off. I think that's like counterintuitive because like we don't know every answer. Like there is such thing as like seeing things when the moon is in retrograde, and I'm probably saying that wrong, or like, but like when these things happen, like you do notice things happen. Like I work in a call center, and where I used to work overnight, like that whole thing of like when it's like a full moon, people go crazy. Like you would know when it's a bad night to work in a call center because it would be in a full moon, and you would get the most wild phone calls. So it's not a thing that these things don't happen, because they do. It's, I think the thing that is a barrier for entry, and again, I'll speak for all men, is like,
just go ahead and take that
I'll
responsibility.
go ahead and take that
right now.
L and do that. But it's like not having the ability to say, like, I can quantify this, and then that makes sense, because that's the big thing with men with anything, right? It's like, oh, we need physical proof because that's how it is, and I think that's a big barrier of entry. And I think that's a big issue. Like, we should be like, no, sometimes you just can't find. Sometimes things don't just have a physical answer where you can see, but you can notice trends, and you have to be willing to kind of go with those trends.
Well, that's what I'm looking up. The Virgo, the traits of a Virgo man on LinkedIn right now, and one of the traits of a Virgo is that the Virgo man has some weaknesses, such as being overtly critical and harsh. He can be inflexible and conservative in his outlook. He can be the most stubborn person you'll ever meet, but his behavior will have a logical explanation. So it's like exactly what you were saying there, TL. So,
except I'm like not conservative at all. Like, that's like, well, I guess.
The Virgo man is also gentle, helpful, and sympathetic by nature. He's very practical, logical, and down to earth. However, that does not stop him from daydreaming about the things he wishes to do and attain in the future.
See, that's what I'm saying. Damn, yeah. Got me.
You got you.
Got me. Damn.
But I love how the golfing goes, because like Will is just like basically super helpful to Jameson, and Jameson gets a hole in one with Will's help by turning his hat the other way. So
yeah,
and making him look pretty cool. I did not understand, is like dressing up a certain thing in golf, like do you have to wear a specific uniform? Like,
it used to be a thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's a look, right? There's a certain type of shoe, and then the plaid pants and the polo, the short sleeve polo specifically.
Well, it's supposed
is definitely a look.
It's like the range of motion, right? Like, as someone who's gone golfing, you don't want to just golf in like regular jeans. Like you do it in those like kind of slacks, like kind of like church slacks, because there's like the fabric is like it's enough where you can move around, and like there's elasticity in the like
you got
waist.
room for that hip rotation.
Exactly.
So it's a lot of hip in golf.
And then you wear the short sleeves so you can go through. Like, there is a whole thing, like golf culture itself is kind of like, it's weird and classist, and not a huge fan of it. But then, like, I don't know, sometimes it's fun just to like go play golf like on a public course with your friends and have beer and go and hit golf. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's because it is essentially boring. Like, it's a really boring sport, but it's like just having fun with your friends. Like,
I think
it's like fishing. It's
yes.
like you go mostly just to hang out.
Yeah, if I went golfing, I would probably be Bill Murray in Space Jam, like wearing that like umbrella hat and like posing too long, and just like drive. I want to drive the cart. That's all I want to do.
The cart. I've never driven a golf cart. It does look hella fun.
Me and my friends actually had got in trouble racing a golf cart, and his parents, like, because they lived in a gated community in Jacksonville, so they had a golf course on the community, and they have those golf carts. So a couple of my friends went, and we got the golf carts, and we decided to race them in the community. Did not go over very well, but like I was just thinking, like, when I used to golf, so I have like clothing phases. I'm sure everyone does. And around like, so this would have been like 2004, like I had a really bad visor phase. So I would have like different golf visors I would wear every time I would go, not even to go play golf, just like go out and get ready to play golf and do that. Like, I don't know, like, it's such a weird thing. And, like, seeing them play, like, in Kangles, I was like, oh, that sucks, because this is probably hot, and these Kangles are probably, like, very sweaty. And it's just, like, golf culture, it's a very weird culture. Like, it's just very weird and very insular.
So I'm just thinking about, like, golfing right now. Yeah, like, all I've seen about it is the idea of, like, just, like, going out to drink or just to wear funny pants. Like, I don't know, like, because I've never been golfing. I should probably mention that, but it seems like an old person sport to me. Like, I don't know, and sports to me have to be exciting to play or to watch. Otherwise, I'm even Happy Gilmore, I could not get into it because I'm like, how can they make golf exciting? They have to fight it like an alligator and everything. So, but I was just briefly looking up the use for wolf's bane. Apparently, it's poisonous, and in historical times, was used to dip arrows into and make them poisonous. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just looking it up right now. Medical uses for wolfsbane is, hold on, I'm trying to look that up. Talk amongst yourselves. But yeah, I don't know what it's used for medically because it's a poison. So I'm like, why would you use it? Fight fight werewolves.
Yeah,
so that's what
wolfsbane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so we find out that Will was born. Jameson's lucky numbers are 7 and 3, and that Will was born on July 3rd, 1973. In real life, Will Smith was actually born on September 25th, 1968. So yes. I had to look that up. But do you guys have any lucky numbers? I had my hockey number that I would wear on my jersey, which was 29. But I don't specifically have a number that I look at and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna win the lottery.
I don't have any lottery winning numbers yet, I guess, knock on wood. But my favorite number is 3 and any factorial of 3. Mm-hmm. And 53 is a number that always makes me think of my Oma, who has passed away. She was 53 when she died. And anytime I see the number 53, I think of her and imagine that she's like just saying like, hey, just checking in.
Oh, that reminds me of, I don't know if you guys read the Stephen King books, The Dark Tower, but the number 19 plays a big role in it. And so whenever they see 19, it's a symbol from the god of the book that something important's about to happen. Yeah, that reminds me of that. Yeah. But I've never 29 is mine. I also think maybe 12 because it's my sister's birthday day. So how about you, TL?
So the one that really comes out to me has always been so there's two. One is 32. Because that was my dad's. That's my dad's sports number, and that's the number he always wears. And so when I was doing sports, that would be the number I would wear, and it's it just means something to me because every time I think 32, I think of my dad. I also really met my dad when he was 32, so that was always weird to me. It's what's this number that keeps popping up? But the other one is 20. I want to make sure I have it right. Is 29. So the reason why is because of how my family's birthdays are. From my mom, my stepdad, my little sister, and myself, all the days are concurrent except for 29. My little brother was born on December 2nd, so he throws everything off. But my stepdad was born on August 27th. My mom was born on July 26th. My sister was born. My mom was born on July 26th. My dad was born on August 27th. My sister was born on May 28th. The 29th is the spare day, which was where my brother should have been born. And then my birthday is on the 30th of August 30th. So, it's that weird thing. So, whenever we see 29, we're that's the number. That's where we should have had a sibling or somebody right there, in our family that kind of would bring the whole tree together.
They're in another timeline.
They are in another timeline. Or my brother just waited too late to cut. He could have been born on November 29th, and it would have been perfect.
Well, I just looked up, according to astrology.com, Will Smith is a Libra, and the Libra man is incredibly charming, often gorgeous to look at, which I think is true, entertaining, quick-witted, but ultimately extremely hard to pin down. Which I guess we should look into the what's Jada's show called? The Red Table?
Red Table Talk.
Yeah, that kind of
entanglements.
Yeah, I'm doing the witch hazel, rubbing her hands together. So, yeah, the entanglements. Yeah, let me look up what Jada is. I'll do that right now.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
That whole thing. I know we didn't talk about it, and that's. It's a whole thing, and that's a thing with their family, and everything. So I understand. But man, I don't know if if I'm Will, maybe it's something, especially like because they're like, hey, this happened both ways. Like something that if we had a conversation, that's something we can have a conversation, and then that's it. But then I don't know if I'm going to be like, I'm going to go and put this on a podcast for everyone to see. Like, I think that's a little bit too much, like, kind of stepping out.
I don't know. I applaud the way that they kind of put it out there and got ahead of it and didn't let other people write the story for them.
Exactly, yeah, I like that too.
Sure.
Because that's happened before with Will and Jada specifically.
Yeah. So Jada is a Virgo, and the Virgo woman is the ultimate combination of brains and beauty. She's got organizational skills for days, not to mention highly developed characteristics and a dedicated work ethic, all of which ensures that the world will get to see her in action, putting all of her brilliance and talents to good use. Let's see. I'm just trying to see what a bad part of it, Virgo girls. Oh, they say it's shy and retiring. I'm like, nah. Includes examine her daily planner. Yeah, Virgo. She's like I will never hate Jada because I love her. I think that I love her as like this powerhouse. Like it's so weird to me to see her as like. She's 4'8" in real life or something. Like she's really short.
5 foot.
She's a real
5 foot.
But I just love the idea. Like she is so cool to me. Like she is this woman that seems so in control of everything that like it's I find that people were trying to demonize her for that, like that whole situation. Absolutely. And because Will is this beloved figure, I think people were trying to put her as like the harlot type person, like, oh, like this horrible bitch of a woman, how dare she break the heart of Will Smith. And I'm like, no, it seems like they've dealt with it. Like I still don't like the idea of them calling their marriage bad, but I think they probably have they've been married for what, like I want to say 40 years. That's probably too long, but
like 1,000 years.
They've been married for a very, very long time, right. And like I do like how they're able to talk about some of the hardships facing, particularly their parenting styles. Like it took a lot of guts for them to come out and say that what they did to Willow when they were trying to make her a thing, that it wasn't the right thing to do, and that it took a long time for Willow to trust them again. Like I like them being honest about that, and I like them as parents, and I like the idea that they are willing to put their mistakes out there so people can learn from them. Well, not learn from them, but probably, as you were saying, to get ahead of the story.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really appreciate how open they've been with everything on Red Table Talk as well, and whether they had an open relationship or were swinging or whatever, like. Again, it's really none of our business, but I appreciate that they kind of like walked us through where they are now and sort of like how they got there. Because I think there was a few episodes before that where Jada was like, we made an agreement that no matter what, even if I'm on this wing of the house and you're on that wing of the house and we ain't even messing with each other, we're still in this house together. Like that's a really beautiful way of approaching a partnership. And I think it's one that more people would benefit from using as maybe like another version of success, because success doesn't always look like two people fully committed and never speaking to anybody else. Right. Like that's not always attainable for folks, and it's important for people to know that you can make your relationship and your life look however you want it to.
Yeah, that's what I really like about it, because like it's also coming from a selfish perspective in my case, because I'm like, oh, Jada's in an open relationship, make way for me, sort of thing. So, because like I have had a crush on her since Demon Knight. And so, like, which was like a movie I should not have been watching at the age I saw it at. But I always loved her short hair, and like the fact that she always looked like, even though she was small, she wasn't weak. Right. That's why I always loved her. Like, even now, she looks like this person who can just be so powerful. Like, I wish she was in a Marvel movie and playing a superhero or something. She should be Storm, technically, to me.
Well, she was in Gotham.
Oh, right, yeah. Sorry, I forgot. But she wasn't a superhero in that one. She was a gangster and awesome in it. And I love the relationship she had with the Robin Lord Taylor, who played Oswald. I really liked her in that show. Like, she had an Eartha Kitt thing going on. Oh yeah. And I know so many dudes didn't like that, but I'm like, dude, I'm here for it. Like, I want her beating more people up and stealing eyes for herself. So,
no, I think
as we continue this Jada Love podcast.
Yeah, no, I just want to say though, I think and this is the thing. and I just want to say something on it because like I noticed this is a thing that's been going on, especially like as we're recording this, like we're a week away from the whole WAP video coming out, right?
Yeah,
and
there's some hoes in this house. Yeah.
And it's a thing. Like again, like this. I guess this is like dude call out time. Like it's this thing. Like I don't know what it is about Black men, and especially men who are around my age and a little bit older, where like it's been such a quick like time to shame women. Like I've seen this. This came up with Talib Kweli not too long ago when he went at No Name and was being like awful, right? And it's like this weird. It's like a mix of where Black men, like where we kind of see ourselves and how we're supposed to be dominating over everyone, and like it's also a mix of like Hotep type stuff, and it's like it's a thing where it's frustrating, especially like I always equate to people. It's like I've never had to think of those thoughts because one, both of my dads, like they never had that kind of toxic mentality because they were raised by their moms. Both my dad and my stepdad were both raised by single moms, so they never had a mentality of like a man should be blah, because like to them they're like, well, my dad was never there, so fuck that. Like in my stepdad's case, like he was like literally across the street, and it's like so I've never had that idea, and it's always wild to me. Like I see men who will be like, oh yeah, Jada, she blah blah blah. It's like, but are you guys doing the same thing when Snoop did that? Or like when this WAP video came out, it's like, yo, like, because I saw CeeLo Green, who is like the worst person to say anything about this, but like, oh, well, look what you guys do in music world. I was like, dude, when you were making music, like, think about all the songs that came out that were just like, yo, like, this stuff is foul that you're saying, and like, no one was like bad eye, like, I'm trying to think the Yin Yang Twins and Lil Jon song, the To the Window to the Walls, like, yeah, dude, that chorus is way worse than anything in WAP, but like no one bats an eye. But it's whenever women are in a situation where they are putting themselves out there, whether it be sexually or in a situation where it's like kind of improper, that's when it's so easy to be puritanical and be like, oh well, how dare you? And it's like, okay, well, we need to calm that down because we're not doing it both sides. And at the end of the day, people are people, and we have to be able to let people be themselves. And like sometimes you do stuff that's disappointing, but as long as people aren't like physically getting hurt, allow people to be themselves, because that's what's really important.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could spend an entire year's worth of podcast going over all of the horrible, like, degrading shit that's in all kinds of rap music that is just as popular as WAP.
Right.
And, I mean, face down, ass up. Everybody knows what the rest of that line is. Like, it's pervasive at this point. And honestly, I'm here for it because I am sex positive. Mm-hmm. However, like, I can't really abide the double standard of, like, when Meg and Cardi want to say like, hey, my lady parts are functioning at peak optimization, like that's a problem for you. Like they're literally celebrating success and a normal healthy working vagina. There's nothing bad about it, like at all.
Exactly. And look at like because this is not like a new thing. Like they have been demonizing Lil' Kim since like the 90s. And like even when women have rap careers or rap lyrics that are positive in terms of like not putting up with like domestic violence and stuff, men will still shit all over that. Like with Queen Latifah's UNITY, like everybody's all like, well, that's not real rap, like she's talking about domestic violence and not putting up with it. And so, or the remix for Not Tonight, the Ladies Night Not Tonight song by Lil' Kim and like Left Eye and Missy Elliott. There's that like they talk about like club hopping and saying no to dudes and calling themselves lady pimps and stuff like that. And like the second that comes up, everybody's like, oh my god, no, like our women are being they want to have sex and not have children, what? Right. So yeah, it's just like, and with WAP especially, everybody is just freaking out about how these women are talking. Like I think the part that pisses people off the most is is Cardi actually saying in the lyrics, like, I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you how I got this ring. Like, that's the part that pisses people off, because, like, she is, like, I think she's married, right? She's married now, has a bunch of kids or something. I can't remember.
She has a kid.
Yeah, she has a kid, yeah.
And she's married.
I don't know
right?
if they're still married. Are they?
I don't
remember
think
if
they
broke up or
are.
not.
Cardi is a force of nature. She like she can do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Like, but it's the thing
yeah, they're
is,
still married.
Oh, they are still married. Okay,
Yeah.
but the thing is, it's like, not to be reductive, 'cause I think that video is a really great video, and
Except for the Kardashian part, but that's
we
fine.
don't talk Kylie Jenner. We just digitally take that out of the video.
There was a cut of that where they stuck in Ruby Rhod
Yeah, that
from
was my
Fifth
favorite.
Element
Yeah.
instead.
That's the part.
Like
That's
that
how
one.
I see it from now on.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, it's like it's not even that controversial. Like, it's, I don't know. Maybe it's just like where I am in my life. It's just like that's not even that controversial. Like, I thought My Neck and My Back is a way like more graphic
Fucking
video.
bop. Oh my god!
Right? Like, that's a like and that like this is just like, I don't know. It's just, I think it's easy to be hand wringy. Again, it's two women of color, and then you had the whole thing with Meg Thee Stallion earlier this year with 50 Cent was being a piece of shit and talking about, like, laughing about her experienced domestic abuse, being shot at,
Yeah.
and thinking that shit's funny. Like, there is a reckoning that has to come when it comes to men, and especially black men, and how we treat women, and how we treat, black trans women, like how we treat, like, people in general. Like, there is a thing, like, especially as we go out now, and I'm trying to make sure I'm wording this correctly, because I don't want to just be an asshole, but there's a thing that we're in a moment right now where we are very much amplifying black voices, and we're doing everything we need to do to amplify black people, and we absolutely should. But we should be looking at that aspect of people. And as black men, it is our onus as well to make sure that we are amplifying and we are not denigrating black women, that we are amplifying and not denigrating black trans women, black non-binary people. Like, we are actually being inclusive, because at this moment, if we are pushing to get more of a seat at the table, we have to be pulling more people too, because we can't just be like, we're going to get ours and everybody else go. So, like, when Jada talks about these things, yeah, you can be like, oh, that's kind of shitty. But then, like, okay, but, hey, it's understandable. Like, people in Hollywood cheat. It's literally the state, like, how many times has it happened in Hollywood? And for dudes, we just let it skate. We just have to be like, hey, is Will okay with it? Okay, cool. We have to be okay with it. And that's something that we have to, like, kind of reckon with.
Well, and that's another thing, too, related to that. If you look at the lyrics for, like, Not Tonight and How Many Licks by Lil' Kim, it's not degrading men.
Right.
It's like, that's the big difference.
It's just celebrating the women.
Yeah, it's like, even when that, like, in How Many Licks, like, she's talking about all the dudes she's fucked with and stuff, and it's like, she's not saying that they're, like, pussies for, like, going down on her or anything. She's just saying, this is why I like them and what they've done for me, and not, like, they're cool, I like them, like, or in WAP, like, they're talking about, like, how these guys have given them something because of, like, how good they are at digging down, that sort of thing. And it's like, it sounds so funny to hear me say this, and I'm sorry for the podcast people that are listening to hearing me talk about How Many Licks, but, like, sorry, I just realized I'm slipping some. But anyway, like, the difference being, when a woman raps about sex, it's not degrading, but when a man does, it tends to degrade the woman about, like, yeah, like, and it's really sad. Like, I still, like, when I listen to Get Low and stuff, like, I listen to stuff like that, and, like, yeah, like, maybe it is about, like, asking, well, not asking, but maybe telling these guys to change a bit, or making bops that are actually, like, positive about women, sort of.
Yeah.
Or it's like that controversy when No Scrubs came out and they had, like, some fools who made, like, their call-out version about it.
You're talking about is it No Chickens? I think it's called No Chickens. I believe it's called No Chickens. And
TLC had to come out and say, like, the men who are pissed off about this song are the people who the song is about.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. Like,
I think it's really interesting. We've entered into this bizarre 2020 timeline where, sure, Kaya's wonderful, wonderful contribution to the world, My Neck, My Back, existed, and there wasn't much of a kerfuffle about it. But now we're in a world where Ben Shapiro, for some reason, cares about what Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B are putting out. And Head has to have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do we care
poor
what
wife,
he
yeah.
thinks about it?
Yeah,
Him and his doctor wife.
Yeah, I was say the
Poor
biggest cell phone. My wife has never My wife is never
Sorry?
doing that. Like, sir, you don't need to come. You don't need to tweet that you've never pleasured your wife. Like, that's
Like,
something that's
don't.
between y'all.
Excuse me, sir, you look like you've never pleasured your wife. But it's just so funny to me, yeah, because I think it just has to do with women having sex and not for procreation, or having sex because they enjoy it. Like, cause
It's a problem for a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's still a big thing on BuzzFeed whenever they post articles about sex toys. Everybody's like, ew, like they're like, teenagers read this, how gross. And I'm like, or in general, like how men look. Like, I remember reading all these Twitter tweets about how men hate the idea that women need to have toys when they have sex with them, and I'm like, well, do your job then. It's like, or something like that. And yeah, like, it's just funny to me that now is the time that we're going through a pandemic, but oh my god, Megan Thee Stallion is talking about dick. We gotta deal with that first. It's like,
right.
I'm
just trying to give you something to hang out with your homies in the house too.
Yeah, it's
You should be grateful.
Yeah, it's just I want some, I want to dance to that song, but we can't because we're at home. So it's damn it.
Yeah, I think
I wish they would re-release it when the club opens again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what somebody had brought up. I think it was Bomani Jones. He was talking about it. He was like, I remember, because he's 10 years older than I am, and he was like, yeah, it's I remember when my neck came back, and he was like, yeah, it's oh, it's okay song. He's like, then I went to the club. He was like, oh, this is a different kind of jam. Yeah, when this song will be out in the club, it will be a whole different thing.
It's an experience.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be like what was it? Tiffany Haddish and Girls Trip when they go to New Orleans. That'll be what it is. Everybody be getting pregnant and there's booty sweat everywhere. But I don't see how it's different from the video Janet released for "I Get So Lonely" back in the 90s.
Anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, all of her stuff. How is it different from what Janet was doing? It was good and it was awesome, and but I guess because of specifically with "I Get So Lonely," the video, she wasn't grinding on a dude. She was grinding on an effigy of a dude, so everybody was okay with it, and she was showing off her boobs, so that was fine.
Yeah.
But then having a video where Cardi B wears pasties and she just had a baby. Oh my god, no!
How dare a mother?
How dare a mother show
her?
that? And it's just something that I think needs to change. And I'm glad that so many people are owning Ben Shapiro about that. And you should send this money for talking about him so much. I hope he does.
Oh shit, he's come up before.
No.
Oh no! I just in this thing.
Oh.
I've been thinking about him too much right now. He owes me a dinner.
I'm about to say I make it my personal thing to never
Mention that guy.
Ben Shapiro. No,
He who shall not be named.
Well, speaking of in this episode, Jameson is his own Ben Shapiro because, Will tells him to, after after he gets the hole-in-one and they head out, he tells Jameson to take the afternoon off and go hang out with his wife. And then later we find out that they did the deed twice. So, yeah. That
was a great moment. That was a really great moment because he was like, I got lucky 3 times.
And
that
it's
was cute.
Aw. And then how his wife will never be the same again. I'm like, aw. So he actually didn't just do the porno deed. He actually showed her some loving. So I'm glad.
That's nice.
That.
It's nice. But then when we think about it, this is a grown man. I would say he's in his 40s, mid 40s.
I mean, sometimes you just need a little push to reignite the spark.
Yeah, but
exactly.
no, but he's talking about this with a 17-year-old. All right, let's.
Well, they crack even more lewd jokes with when we get to the episode with what's his name, the Jeffersons guy. I can't remember the actor's name, but he's talking.
Sherman Helmsley.
Sherman Helmsley,
Yeah.
there's an episode where Will is being brought into court for unpaid parking tickets, and he's trying to bribe Sherman Helmsley to get him out of those tickets. Uncle Phil catches him, like, fanning himself with money, and then Will just says, I thought he was selling condoms. And Uncle Phil just, like, screams at him to get out and stuff.
That's funny.
And it's like, because I do in this show, they do talk about how the kids are. Well, there even is an episode where Will talks about losing his virginity when he's like 16. Like, he mentions it would happen before he went to Bel-Air. So it's something that is in his
Right.
Not in his wheelhouse, but he is knowledgeable about it,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I appreciate in the
Sure.
show.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to act like it doesn't happen because, like, it happens, right?
I mean, and even an 8-year-old could be like, hey, you should go spend time with your wife,
Right.
and it's not strange.
True.
It's like, go hang out with her, make her happy.
Yeah. It can mean whatever that person thinks it means.
That's true.
They could have held hands 3 times.
They could have went for a nice dinner. Like, maybe he
Yeah.
took her to a movie she wanted to see. Maybe, I don't know.
Ooh, that's nice. Maybe they'd had ice cream. They gave her foot rub.
But it's one of the best parts of this episode to me is when they could have totally just left this alone, but I love when Aunt Viv reveals that Jameson used to take advice on buying stocks from his dog, who sadly was killed when he got, because he didn't see it coming, got hit by a car, and then Jameson got the dog stuffed and keeps it in his office. And like I remember the first time I saw this, I didn't expect anything more of it until we go to Jameson's office and see the actual dog. Like, that was like such a poor taxidermy job on that dog's part. Like, I was so sad because I'm like, I've seen really well done taxidermy, but yeah, that poor dog just looked terrible. I'm like, aw.
Yeah.
You could
That
afford better.
blood-curdling scream that Will let out was definitely
Just looking
the
at
normal
it.
reaction.
The thing that trips me out is like how Jameson went from being like the whitest white dude to like, I have mastered all of Ebonics and I cannot wait to talk to you, my brother from another. I'm like, yo, what? Like, what did he do? Like, what did Jameson was like, I'm going to watch all of Comic View tonight.
He's got like, he subscribes to BET because it's a specialty channel on cable, so he has to sign up for it. So.
It has 3 letters, so it's lucky.
It was just like it was just weird. Like, he
Unlike
went
any
from,
other
like, he
channel.
went from like not getting it to just instantly, oh, what up, homie? Like, the whole, I was like, yo, this is, it's only been a day. What's going on?
He's very impressionable.
Well, and I just like how Will goes to the office where he screams when he sees the dog, and to tell Jameson, like, he is not, like, all of this has just been coincidence, and like he's not a good luck charm, and then he ends up getting Jameson like $1 million in less than a half an hour. So he gets brought into Jameson's inner circle where he is given these cool ass sunglasses, a huge brick mobile phone, which I loved, and a custom Armani suit and extra fly, as he says. So
it was a good look.
It was a good look. I love the sunglasses particularly. Like, I know we were probably talking about like Wild Wild West, but I love Will in sunglasses, especially the ones he wore in Wild Wild West, like the little tiny ones. I love those. He looks good in sunglasses.
He does.
Yeah.
He pulled him off well.
It's very much like it's a Men in Black suit. Like, it's not like full on the Men in Black suit, but it is. And like, so like, I'm currently like shopping for suits for next year as it is now, and I was just looking at it as like, could I pull that off? I'm just like,
get a custom one. That's what it is. Don't.
It needs to be bespoke.
Yeah, like if you buy one that's like off the rack, you'll look like you're going to court.
oh well, it's always every suit. So every suit I have is like the oversized suits, and like I think we talked about it on the Patreon special that got cut off. Like, we were talking with Emmett. Like, I had like Easter would come and always would get like multiple suits, not just one, but like multiple suits, and they were all like really cool suits. Like, there was one that was like a robin egg blue with like gold trim, and like I had all these different suits. But the problem is, my body is weird. So like in some spots, it's like it's tight and it fits really well. In some parts, it's just huge, and it's like, oh, this sucks. Like
you gotta get it bespoke. Like,
yeah.
Take it to a tailor. It's worth the investment.
Yeah. Get the investment, because like we were gonna get my dad we got my dad like a tailored suit, and he looked like 40 pounds lighter, 20 pounds younger. Like it was amazing. Like, well, and I guess because he wasn't wearing a pair of suspenders with a belt, so like that also helped. But like it like clothes, like paying that much for clothes will always look good. Like it's
absolutely
I really want to get styled. I don't know if he's still alive, but Dapper Dan in Harlem, I want to get styled by him. Like that's what it would look like. I want to wear those clothes.
I'm pretty sure he is. He was recently on an episode of one of these reality shows.
Let me see. Is he still alive? Yes, he is. According to Wikipedia, he's still alive. Because he styled Salt and Pepper back in the day. LL Cool J. But yeah, like I want to go there just so he can like style me. Like I want to look like I want to look like Salt and Pepper. Basically, that's all I want. But yeah, like I really wanted to. Wait, hold on. I'm just grabbing my notes. I just love that dog. I wish it had more of it. But I also love how he gets Will to fire Uncle Phil, because Uncle Phil's trying to tell Jameson like he's just a child, he can't help you with your business deals. Like and Viv cracks that joke. Yeah, that's Sparky's job. So like she has no time for Jameson, and I love that. Like it just that's why if we had done this episode with the new Aunt Viv, I doubt she would have been this sassy.
A lot more
like,
docile.
Yeah, she would have been just like dealing with it, but like Aunt Viv here has no time for it, and I love that.
Yeah, comedic timing at one point.
Yeah. And we get to see Phil going back to beg for his job, and they bring a third person just because 3 is Jameson's lucky number. So,
and they are constantly throwing shade at that third guy, like that whole meeting. I don't know if y'all noticed that.
Yeah.
There's a part where he's like, really lawyers funny. Are a dime a dozen, and they, both Phil and his boss look back at that guy with the disdain just dripping from their faces, like, oh my god, like what did he do?
Well, I just like when he's asked, like, well, what do I say? Nothing. You're just here because Jameson's lucky number is 3. So, and like and Phil actually like calls out Jameson for being an idiot, which I really really loved, because he doesn't do it in terms of like exploding anger. He does it with like when I could have been spending my birthday with my family, I was here because Sparky didn't see. You thought Sparky being killed was your idea to buy like this company,
General Motors.
I think it's because he was chasing. Yeah, he was chasing a Buick.
Yeah.
So you thought it meant you just take over General Motors. I love that, like, this through line in the entire show, that Uncle Phil's soft spot is his family. And I loved how it was on display here. And even the moment when Jameson blames his most recent loss on Will, Phil immediately is like, oh no, you don't talk to my nephew like that.
Right.
Like, it was that like big, like, you don't come for me or my son moment. Like, I really love that energy from him when he flips it, because obviously he went in there ready to smack Will across the back of the head and be like, what are you doing, kid? Get the fuck out of this room.
Right.
But and beg for his job,
turns
too.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly. He's like, take your money and stick it where the sun don't shine. You don't talk to my child like that.
And I like how Phil's partner was like, I think that's Philip's way of saying I'm sorry.
But I mean, the thing is like, and the guy, you know, he shows it. It's like, a lot of these guys just want you to be like, no, I'm not, you can't just bully me. I'm not dealing with that. He's like, where was this? Like, it's like,
be real with
it
me.
feels like, wait, what are you talking about? It's like, this is the thing I wanted to see. It's like,
yeah, he didn't want a yes man.
Right.
He wanted somebody to tell him like what he needed to hear, which is something that you like a lot of people will say, but they don't actually want. Like, like it is really like a thing that you need to cultivate with the people you're closest to, especially in business ventures. Like, you have to have somebody who will tell you no.
right.
And I think that's what Phil ended up really proving. Plus the fact that he reveals that he's a Capricorn. Wink.
Yeah.
So, which we find out later he's not actually a Capricorn, he's an Aquarius. So.
That was so smart. Again, oh my god, Uncle Phil, like, one of the best characters ever written, in my opinion. Like, like the way he was like, for $20 million account, I could be a Capricorn. Like, this man knew what he was doing that entire time,
right.
whilst sticking up for his nephew while getting the job back. He was like, you know what, I'm just going to take care of all this right now. Everybody move out of the way. I got this.
Well, and I see why Phil has become a partner in that law firm, because he does stuff like this and he's not afraid to, like, because we see later that he was very young, like maybe about like 30, 35 when he got hired by the firm he ends up working for at this time. And we see why he's hired, because he's not willing to give up. He is so persistent, he's strong, he is an advocate for himself, and he gets things done. Like when his other partner's willing to just lie down flat and take whatever Jameson is going to give them, Phil is like, no, like, this is not what's gonna happen, like, this is what's gonna happen, and you need to change, blah blah blah. And it was so cool. Like, again, like, I think this is gonna become the Uncle Phil, like, the love hour, like, every single time he's on. But it's always so cool to see him, and I think that's just like James Avery's ability to give so much depth to this character.
Yeah.
Because, like, what's the difference between Uncle Phil and any character in, like, Full House? Like, because he
seems like a real dad, though. Like that.
Yeah, he seems like a real person.
He seems like a real person.
Yeah.
Like, you can see, like, when he is, he never gets angry unless there's a reason. Like, because I'm thinking about all the times he's screamed at Will and Carlton. It's because they pawned Anthiv's bracelet. They crashed the car. They, like, really legitimate things that a parent would be pissed off about. Like, he's never angry without reason.
Right.
And I love that about him. He is like he's a good dad. Yeah. Like, he's an amazing father. Like, the only time I think that he is a little bit overprotective is with Ashley. But I think that's because, like, she's the youngest.
Well, yeah.
And she's the baby.
Yeah, it's his baby. That's his baby, right? Like, Uncle Phil reminds me so much of my Uncle Larry, who I lived with, and I moved in with when I was, like, around Will's age. Like, so my junior year of high school, I moved in with my Uncle Larry. And it's that thing of, like, nothing seems, like you said, like he is a very serious person, but nothing is too serious, and he is willing to joke. And his whole thing is like, everything has to be in reason, and I'm there for you, but I'm also a person. And it was something that, like, when I was like, me and my Uncle Bill and Uncle Larry, like, we have a really good relationship because of that. Like, there were times where he could get upset, but like I said, most of the times it's like he is like nurturing, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna show you, this is why we do things, this is why things, you know, why we have to look at things. And Uncle Phil has that kind of attitude to it. So, like, even if he, like I said, we don't know Uncle Phil, the character, that much until we get into the show, like, but we can kind of all gravitate to having that feeling of somebody, like, that warmth, that kind of looking out for somebody. Like, that's something that everyone gravitates in once. And that's the reason why he, like, pervades as such a powerful, strong character. Because I'll be completely honest with you, any other, like, dad archetype for this show, it doesn't work. And I think it's the reason why, like, people do a lot of parallels between Uncle Phil and Carl Winslow. Because I think Carl Winslow does this, but is a little bit more formulaic, sitcom-y. But he has that same kind of attitude, because he can kind of get into this kind of mode too. It's just like, yeah, that buffer of Steve, which is a whole different thing. And please give to our Patreon so I can talk about Steve Urkel, because I really want to. But there's such a different dynamic they have to go with, because Uncle Phil's such a different archetype than you normally see. And I think it's easy for people to gravitate and look at him and be like, yeah, that's it's like who you would want for a dad. It's like someone like Uncle Phil.
Yeah. And in the pantheon of, Black TV fathers, he's my personal favorite for a lot of those reasons. And now watching back so many of these episodes as an adult, it's wild to me to think of how much he carried. Like, to have this huge client, this, like, the biggest account for your company. You're trying to set your son up for internship. So you're like, okay, you come be a caddy for him, and let's see if you can, maybe impress him and get a job. And then your goofy ass nephew comes along because this dude is super suspicious, and you're like, okay, well, now I gotta balance this. And, like, I'm sure Carlton's feeling super stressed and outshined, and, like, he's managing so many relationships in one golfing session. And I'm just sitting there with my current adult social anxiety, like, how the fuck did Phil do any of this? Like, this man is so impressive.
Well, and the fact that he is, he's trying to make sure that Vivian doesn't not insult Jameson, but like not go full out on him. Like
don't spook him.
Yeah, like because he loves her, but he never says any, like in any other show he would have like smacked that down and like told her to get lost or something. But he like not allows her, but like he
says please.
Yeah, he doesn't mistreat her. I love that. Like there's a lot of comedy in sitcoms that relies on the mistreatment of your partner or your wife or your husband, and that never happens between them, which I love. Like, because they don't, like, it's so easy for them to fall into that idea of like a dysfunctional family, but they are an amazing family, and I love that about them. Like, it's not played for diversity points. It just feels realistic. Like, they've been through some stuff, and I love that. It's so cool. But I also looked up the Aquarius man on astrology.com. So Uncle Phil is an Aquarius. So he's the kind of guy who many people are curious about, but few people ever truly understand. Much of this is due to the fact that these men are often perceived as being either ahead of their time or having ideas that are so radical and new that most people aren't ready to hear them. Aquarius men often feel removed from most of society and thrive best when they find a few like-minded individuals with whom they can share their far-seeing visions of the future. That is cool. I think that's pretty accurate. James Avery is a Sagittarius, so I'm going to look up what he says. These easygoing gentlemen tend to go after exhilarating experiences like cross-country skiing, bear hunting, or wild love affairs. There's a Hemingway energy to these great outdoorsmen who are often into hunting, full-contact sports, or finding some way to live outside the parameters of ordinary life. These dudes never really want to settle down and live peacefully behind a white picket fence. Often nomadic, they may wander here and there, rarely ever calling any one place home. That's cool.
I don't know if that's...
I don't really know much about James Avery's personal hobbies.
Yeah. So I'm just looking it up just to see what they are like.
Yeah, I want to say, I don't think that sounds anything like it. That literally, I super know I couldn't be... Because I know that they were talking about like how the signs changed. I super know I could not be a Sagittarius. That sounds awful. All of it sounds so awful.
Let's see what I would say. I did not know James Avery was the commencement speaker for his alma mater, UC San Diego, Thurgood Marshall College in 2007 and again in 2012.
Yes.
He's so cool.
Like I said, he is a Shakespearean trained actor. Again, I will bring it up every time because I love this fact. He is one of two Black Shakespearean trained actors who voice Shredder from Teenage Mutant Turtles. The other one being Kevin Michael Richardson, who voiced him in the 2012 reboot that they did back in the day. But yeah, it's a very weird thing. And like,
well, and to speak of James Avery again, I also really love that that cameo he made on Family Matters once, where one of the kids' friends was like, "You win." Richie's friend says, "He does look like the dad from Fresh Prince," and then James Avery just walks in and is like, "What?" So that was really cute scene. I love that.
Especially because James Avery is a tall man and Carl Winslow is not.
He's a giant.
Yeah. Because James Avery is like about like 6'1" or something. James Avery.
James Avery's like 6'4", 6'5".
Let's see.
Because Will is 6'1".
Yeah, he's tall.
6'5", James Avery.
Yeah.
So he's
a giant man.
He was a big old dude right there. But yeah, like, so the episode ends with everything back to normal. The total sitcom thing, like everything's the back reset. To normal, the reset, and everybody's happy. Phil is now Capricorn.
Well, Hillary is not happy. She's very upset with her taxes being taken out of her first paycheck, which I thought was so cute.
Yes,
because I had that exact same moment. I was like, 15, 16 years old. I got my first real check for a real job, and I was like, who the fuck is taking all my money? Like, this sucks.
That happened
I could relate so much.
Oh my god. When I because I grew up on an Indian reservation, and the place where I would often go in the city was also an Indian reservation. So I did not know about sales tax on things until I moved to the city and moved to the proper city, and I'm like, what the hell is all this tax taken off my food? Like why do I have to pay this? Like, I was so pissed off because I'm like, GST, what's that? And so like like, and yeah, I felt Hillary's like, because it does take a lot of money out of you, and it's like, I did feel her. I thought the government was supposed to pay for things like that.
So adorable. So adorable and so relatable. I love that moment.
It's so great. Yeah, that whole B plot with her, like, finding, I think, the perfect job for her. Just like,
yeah, being a snob at an art gallery.
Exactly. Like, it's just like, it's like, yeah, that was perfect for her. Like, we'll see her. I do love these episodes. Like, we get to see her do more jobs, and like the season finale is her working kind of like the ultimate job for her. But like, I do like seeing her kind of finding herself after leaving UCLA. I think that's really, really cool. It's something that's missing syndication, because like the problem with this show with syndications is it becomes the Will and Carlton show, and like little stuff like this kind of like characterization gets lost, and I'm really glad we get to kind of go back and look at it, because I think this is also just as important.
Yeah, like, because I do love Hillary. Like, I've mentioned before how much I like that this show, like, the if the A plot is like is Will and Carlton, the B plot is Will and Uncle Phil, the C plot is Hillary's arc as a person, because like, though she doesn't change, like, she's still kind of selfish and kind of self-centered, she blossoms as Will does, and I like that. Like, she becomes Oprah, and she develops a really good relationship with Ashley, with her mother, with Will too. Like, they team up in various schemes, and yeah, I just like Karen Parsons is like such a cute actress, because like, she is just making this role her own, and like, Hillary is never annoying. That's a big thing. She's funny, and she, like, she would be the cool friend you hung out with that got you into trouble. That's how I see her. Like, the cool friend you borrow her clothes, and like, she has all the best magazines, and her mom like is kind of like, her mom thinks you're the positive influence on her, so that's why you hang out. But yeah, I just like her because like, she is just fun to me. I love it. I love her.
But yeah, no, that was, like I said, that was this episode. I think it's a really fun episode. Just, it's like I said, it's just, there's a lot of really kind of just cute things in this episode. Even like the opening, I know we didn't really talk about it, but like Will doing, like, learning the periodic table by like doing a rap dance to it.
Yes.
And like,
so great.
I was like, I totally
that
did
right
that.
leg that he was kicking up, I was like, he's very flexible. Like, this is a great range of motion. I was very impressed with that dance move.
Well, and I was like, I remember doing that. I remember doing AP chemistry again, like almost 20 years ago now, because time. But I remember like getting the periodic table and like, all right, I'm going to learn all these by a rap, and just like. Da-da-da. And it's just like, yeah, like as kids, like we used to do stuff like that, like, because it was easier for you to remember, other than just like, I'm going to read these over. It's like, no, I'm going to put my own little kind of spin to it.
Yeah, make songs out of your study vocab words or the periodic table or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, but I also felt the bit too where he was blasting music to study. I've done that too. It's just like, please, I'm trying to study. It's just like, because I used to listen to, when I would do biology, I would listen to the Chemical Brothers, because I needed stuff with no words. So that's the best way to learn. And I would just, but people would say like, well, don't you need to listen to that when you go to the test? And I'm like, no, it was just like to white noise it out. That's how it helps. But a good episode.
Yeah, definitely a good episode. So, Rihanna, we are at the end of the show, and I would like you to promote whatever you would like to promote. Is there anything that you would like to have people go out and check out of yours?
Yeah. Again, if you want to catch all of my comings and goings, that's on Twitter. Rihanna Tweets Now. That's RIANA Tweets Now. You can catch me on What's Good Games occasionally, streaming with them as well on twitch.tv/What's Good Games. And this past week, so this is, what's today?
August
the 16th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this past week, I was featured on 2 different shows. One Inside Gaming for Thursday. And then also I was on Kind of Funny Games Daily over on Kind of Funny Games' channel on Friday. So if you're looking for more of me, that's where I've talked the most recently. Other than that, just catch me hanging around the internet.
Yeah. Like I said, I will, again, wholly endorse. If you are not following Rihanna, you should. Definitely a really good follow. Also, it makes people hungry because, I'm going to get a freaking cheesecake burrito. And I was just
oh my gosh. It's so good. I still have half of it in the freezer. I froze half of it.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
It's really good. TL, I'm still waiting for you to mail me those cookies minus the chocolate chips, by the way.
So Sonya, do you have anything you would like to promote?
Well, just me on Twitter at honey_child. I am still trying to date Colt Cabana, but while he's in denial, I'll travel. I am trying to get back into streaming. Dead by Daylight has recently changed their crossplay platform, so now I can play with my friends on Switch. So that's exciting. And yeah, just doing some writing and stuff. So come and find me on Twitter.
And you can also follow me on Twitter at Travis L. Foster. You can follow me on Twitch at Turbo Bison. As of this recording, I should had to push back doing my new daily show thing that I'm looking to do. I had to push that back because of work overtime, so I might end up doing that weekly. But yeah, twitch.tv/Turbo Bison. You can follow my video game stuff over at the PNB Network. Had a project fall through, so that kind of is a bummer, but we got other stuff that we're going to work on, and we're kind of pushing a lot of stuff. Again, you can follow the show at patreon.com/live from the pool house. Give us $1, that supports us, and we thank you very much. If you give us $5, you'll get the next week episode early. So if you're listening to this early, you gave us $5. So, yeah, that's really it. I don't have to say anything because I am currently working on my movie, so I don't have to remind myself. I'm going to keep saying that until I
remind yourself.
That has been this episode. Thank you for listening to Live from the Pool House. We want to thank Rihanna. We want to thank Sonya. I want to thank you, the fans, for being here. And I don't know why I deviated from my ending because now I am tongue-tied. But don't get thrown out.
Before you actually end, can I actually bring something up?
Sure.
Because I have a bit of a bone to pick with both of you.
Okay.
Oh, no!
Okay, so I listened to parts of the episode you did with Matt from Video Game Apocalypse.
Yes.
And I heard in that episode some O-Town shade that I
I
was not okay with.
Okay.
I was not okay with that at all. Liquid Dreams
My
is a
sister
bop.
loves Old Town.
And you cannot tell me otherwise. Okay? All or Nothing? That is a classic work of art.
We have to have you on for our Patreon episode if we do a laser time with them about boy bands.
We could do it on our own. We have our own bonus episodes that we should. I actually need to get ready to. We can have this out because you both are.
I will put Liquid Dreams. I will put Liquid Dreams. It's up there with 5.
I love 5. Oh my god.
It's up there with Slam Dunk the Funk. It is up there with what is this? Everybody. I would put Liquid Dreams up with Everybody.
I feel like I've gotten ambushed on my own damn podcast. And I don't appreciate that.
We have to have you on for a Patreon episode now, so we can have it out.
Oh, I'm ready. I am ready. I will defend O-Town's honor. I just had to put that out there. I couldn't let that stand.
Ambush at the end of my own podcast. Well, for Rihanna, for Sonya, I am T.L. Foster. This has been Live from the Pool House. I did my ending correctly that time. Don't get thrown out like jazz.
Backstreet's back.